This week on Viral History, we sit down with historian and author James Holland to talk all things Chalke Valley.
Back in 2011, I was trying to think of ways to make money for our local cricket club. We needed a bit more money for us to finish off our pavilion. I talked to a local friend of mine called James Holland, who used to run the Otter's book chain. And I said, what about doing an arts festival in the valley? And we could just do a little one around the cricket ground and raise some money. And he said, look, you're a historian. I'm writing historical novels and I love history. No one else is doing it. Let's do a history festival. And I said, you know what? That is genius. And so that's how it started. We made a little bit of money for the cricket club. And then we thought, well, let's just sort of crank this up a little bit. And I remember sitting around a table with everyone saying, I don't want anyone to laugh. I've got two words I'm going to say: living history. And everyone burst into hysterical laughter. There's no way we can't do that. And I said, no, bear with me, you know. And so anyway, so we got some living history in, and we got in a Spitfire, and I think we ratcheted it up to about 60 events from 12. And that's the format it's been pretty much ever since. So, you know, it's sort of got a bit bigger, but it's basically the same. And a central part of what we do now is the 3-day schools festival. So that is something that we've added on since we began. And, you know, the kids that are here this week is fantastic. And, you know, we actually do pay for some inner city schools to come, and some sort of, you know, a lot of local primary schools that, you know, really struggle. We pay for them to come as well, and you know, it's an absolute key part of what we do. It's storytelling, and it's great human drama, and of course, you know, there's curiosity, and you know, how can you kind of make sense of what's happening today and prepare for the future if you don't understand the past? I mean, I'm quite messianic about it. I really think that's incredibly important. I think our politicians, frankly, should be studying their history a little bit more. I think everyone should study history. I don't think it should be an optional subject. And I think everyone should study British history, because you need to know where you come from and why the country is the way it is, why we are this democracy. All these sort of things are incredibly important, and you have to understand why we are the makeup that we are. One of my favourite history books is A Social History of England by Christopher Hibbert. It's a great big fat tome, and it sort of chronologically goes through the change. And it's just, you know, he's just a master of really popular history and bringing it to life. I mean, I used to love all those Ladybird books when I was younger as well. I mean, when I was a boy, I sort of grew up with Alfred the Great and Oliver Cromwell and Nelson and Scott and all those, you know, I mean, you know, who hasn't got those in their library? And also, I've got to say, TV historians as well. You know, watching television really got me going. I mean, I was, you know, obsessed with the Michael Wood series when I was younger. In Search of the Dark Ages, In Search of the Trojan War. You know, there was Mike with just his backpack coming off the ferry and in northern Turkey, and you know, it was just amazing. A massive inspiration. And I think one of the things that's so brilliant about him and all the best historians is that they are really great storytellers. They're able to convey that excitement, that drama, and I think that's what you want. That's what you want to suck people in. And I think, you know, so many people say, oh, you know, if only I'd seen him, you know, when I was at school, I wouldn't have given up history. And I think a lot of history teaching, there are some amazing history teachers out there, there's absolutely no question about it. But a lot of history that's taught at school is a bit, you know, a bit dry, a bit worthy, you know. And I think, you know, to get young minds excited, you've got to tell those incredible stories, and you've got to tell them well. What really got me down the professional line was actually when I was doing my dissertation at university as an undergraduate. And I really enjoyed the primary research. It was just fantastic. It actually was set in the, you know, it was about the Restoration period. So it was 17th century manuscripts I was looking at, and letters and original sources. And, you know, it is effectively detective work. You know, it's about putting the pieces of the jigsaw together, and you're going down a journey. You know, you're trying to find out more, and you go off on little cul-de-sacs, and then you come back, and you know, following those leads, you know, just as a detective would. And that's really exciting. And discovering stuff for yourself, particularly when you're doing it for the first time, or you know, you're looking at a document that someone hasn't looked at for centuries, you know, that's very exciting. It's a very kind of tactile experience as well. There you are, you've got the original document in your hand. That's a great feeling. And I think that's what really got me going, and sort of whetted my appetite. So I think the thing I would say is, you know, if you've got a spark of interest, pursue it. And there's, you know, gosh, it's so much easier to pursue these days. You know, in the digital era, there's so, you know, you don't. I mean, my job is much easier. I can get on an EasyJet flight and go to archives all around the world. I can take photographs of documents. You know, when I was first doing it, and that wasn't that long ago, you know, I was having to sort of annotate things with pencil. Those days are all gone. It's much easier to really get your hands dirty, roll your sleeves up, and do some really fantastic research. The Chalke Valley History Festival is special to me because obviously I've been with it since its birth. But on a day like, we're in a very ancient landscape. This is a part of the world where I've lived most of my life, and chalk is in my blood, I think. And you look around here and we're surrounded by, ancient dew ponds and ancient lynchets and droves and holloways and the shape of a landscape that has been altered by man for millennia. And so you're in a very ancient landscape, and the lovely sort of folds and trees and the green and the blue sky, it's very English. And you have this sort of slightly eccentric, slightly mad sort of meetings of amazing historians, famous people, First World War trucks around us here, Second World War gun carriages, people firing black powder in the distance. The whole mishmash. I mean, if this place doesn't get you excited about the past and about history, it's never going to. I mean, that's the point of it. We want people to come here and just be inspired and excited and have a wonderful time and be entertained.